Good day. We are doing the Parental Alienation Omnibus today, and I'm going to welcome Joni. Please introduce yourself to us and tell us what you do and where you're from.
My name is Joan Kloth-Zanard. I run a 501c3 nonprofit for psychological abuse and to get support and help for it. We are the oldest, probably one of the largest 501c3s for parental alienation. I've been doing this work. I've been working with domestic violence for over 35 years and specific to the coercive control and isolation of the children from the other parent for 25 years. I'm extensively trained and educated. I have my master's in marriage and family therapy, along with massive amount of other education specific to alienation, including reunification therapy. I do not I did not bother with my license because I would say 95% of all therapists and professionals with a license who work on parental alienation cases have their licenses attacked or get sued. As a consultant and an expert, I don't need a license and they cannot attack me.
That's very interesting. I find the same with me. Not being connected to the legal fraternity or the mental health officially, I can say and do what I want because I am not bound by those things. That's wonderful.
Right,
So,
and with the amount of people that we work with, I work with thousands and thousands of parents. I would never be, if I had my license and it was constantly being attacked, all I would do is be defending myself instead of being able to help parents. And that
yes,
was not an option.
yes, exactly. Joan, thank you for joining us. And would you please tell us how is parental alienation handled and managed in your country?
There is a long history as to how we kind of got to this. If we go back to the primitive days, we shared responsibility between men and women. If you get into the next stage of things, it was kind of the fathers had all the rights because women had no rights. When women got rights, we had the tender years doctrine and women got custody. Today, it is kind of a pendulum that swims in between, and it's based on money and connections. This is probably the case in the majority of states that are not implementing the Family Justice Initiative, which was established by the Council for Chief Justices. This was established in 2019 by the Chief Justices in the United States, along with four organizations that partnership together to create guidelines for the courts toward improving outcomes for families while managing costs, controlling delays, and facilitating healthy outcomes. They made strong recommendations with resolutions that were to be implemented by the courts. Our problem is the attorneys are backlashing on this because it means they're going to lose money.
Mm-hmm.
This Family Justice Initiative wants the aggressive behavior and the adversarial process stopped, and they want more mediation and appropriate family relations interventions.
Yes.
In states like Connecticut, where they're trying to implement it, are because Connecticut screwed up. They made the mistake of taking too long to bring up the virtual. Because of that, they became overwhelmed with cases, and it became even more obvious how many parental alienation cases were actually out there. Especially because with COVID, now parents were denying access, claiming COVID. So we're finding that this program, if we can get the education to these judges and the professionals, might actually work. Problem is, we're probably going to need more judges. So for a short period of time, while we bang out this and get things organized. And so that's kind of a quandary there. But if they were to implement this resolutions, I think we'd see a lot of changes, especially if we can get some education and training in. What I don't understand is how can an attorney even think it's reasonable to be known for having the longest and most expensive running court case? This is not a positive. That's a negative. And a negative in that they could not get it done in a timely manner. That's got to start reflecting on these attorneys. If you can't get a divorce and the custody issues resolved in a timely manner, then you don't know how to do your job.
Yes, I agree completely. It's
So
exactly the other way around.
in our country, it's changed, and we've got this pendulum that's gone from, equal to fathers to mothers to back in the middle. So, and how do they handle it? We're having problems because there's don't get me wrong, I believe in women's rights. And I do believe that abuse is a problem, but it is not specific to women and children. Unfortunately, we've got a large group of women out there who keep claiming that only women and children are abused. Men are never abused. The statistics prove that wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing we're up against, because they're now slamming us with all sorts of legislation in all of the states. And they're slipping in something that says parental alienation isn't real, it's pseudoscience, that there's not enough scientific backing, when we have 35 years of it. We have plenty of evidence and proof that exists. And in fact, their definition of coercive control and psychological abuse, parental alienation, is that poster child for it.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Okay, well, it's good to hear how things are going. It seems that there's been a lot of progress in the States compared to
wouldn't
South
say
Africa.
there's progress. I wouldn't say there's progress as much as they're trying to implement a change, and they're getting backlash because it means the attorneys won't make money.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. Too bad. Find someone. In my mind, it makes more sense to, if you can do a timely divorce and custody matter, then charge $10,000 per person, and you could take more cases on, and you'll make more money, and rather than being known for the oldest, most expensive divorce custody case. That's just not a positive.
Yes, agree. Joan, you have an interesting personal story also. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, I got involved in this because my husband has been alienated from his kids going on over 25 years.
Goodness.
I'm his third wife. We have a healthy relationship with his first wife and son. I fixed that because when I came into the picture some 25 years ago, the second wife had destroyed that relationship. When I came into the picture, it's called Remarriage as a Trigger. Dr. Warshak has a great article on this. She got panicked, and she started pouring on the parental alienation. And he has not seen those kids probably more than six times in the past 25 years.
Unbelievable.
Don't get me wrong. My husband is not perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. It just doesn't exist. Okay? If it existed, we wouldn't need all these self-help books and self-help sites. We'd have one called The Perfect Parent. And even at 100, you're still learning how to be a parent, because 100 years ago, we didn't parent the way we parent today.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Back in the day, the courts got it. They understood what my husband's ex was doing. They did not know what to do. In fact, Judge Miller, who's passed on and was this is back 2 decades ago, actually told the mother that he was not a psychiatrist, but that she needed one. Why? Because she was caught lying in court and committing fraud. She submitted 2 bills that were bogus. One was for dental insurance, where she refused to use our dental insurance to take 33% off the bill. And the other was for a day camp bill that was for $600, but she slipped a 3 in front of it, so that it made it $3,600. Well, we got the original bill. The judge was absolutely furious. That's just criminal behavior.
That's fraud.
But back in the day, they didn't know how to handle this and what to do with contempts when the mother had the kids, or the father, whoever it was. They feared penalizing the perpetrator would financially harm the children, but they didn't understand the damages psychologically to the children. This is why we need education and training. There is just not enough. Back then, there just was not enough education and training available for these judges to understand that there were ways to do this. All his ex got was, bad girl, here's another court order.
Yeah.
Bad girl, here's another court order. It was a slap on the wrist. There were 6 of these in 10 years. And reunification therapy with the children never occurred, because for every step forward we took, the mother took it back 10, because the kids would go back home to her. They'd get in the car with her, and she'd rip everything apart. All the work that hard work the therapist had done was done. So we have a very old case. There isn't much we can do. The kids are now, I think, 32 and 34, and refuse to have anything to do with their father. I think the daughter would, but she's so afraid that if she's nice to her father and has a relationship with him, that the mother and brother will rip her, and she doesn't want that abandonment. This is an abandonment attachment issue. And they're, you know, they'll have to get an epiphany. And when they get their epiphany, let's hope it's not too late.
Yes, and when that happens, it actually just opens up a whole new can of worms, because they have so much new emotional stuff to deal with because of once they discover, the
guilt and the horror that they lost this relationship and all these wonderful memories. My answer back to a parent whose older child finally comes to them: don't worry about the memories you lost. Make new memories.
I agree. Actively.
Right. That's the most important thing that you can do at that point.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And from your experience and your point of view, what is the best advice that you would give a person who's in that situation? Somebody who's realizing that I'm being alienated from my children.
So, first of all, if it's for the parent, I want chronology. I don't want a long diatribe of paragraph after paragraph. I want date. If you have a time, a time. One sentence. Got married, met, divorced, had children, whatever, when each child was born, a death in the family, any court dates, every time you've had visitation. I want a chronology, and I actually do have a little email I sent to parents that shows an example of how to do this, because we need to see the pattern of behavior. I also have something called color-coded calendar, where they can literally color the calendar by, and so let's say they went to court. Well, they might put court in black, and let's say that weekend they were supposed to get the kids, and they come, they're fine.
Yes.
The day gets colored blue. But if they come and they're kind of out of sorts, but they calm down, the day gets colored green. If they come and they're nasty and they're angry and they're rude, the day gets colored orange. If they don't come at all, it gets colored red. If there's medical neglect or mental health neglect or something, the day gets colored purple. So now you can see a color pattern, and the more orange and reds, the more concern. So it shows a pattern. This is one tool that I can use that help me. I have something called red flag behaviors that helps me to see how many of the 200 plus red flags this person might have. In what categories do we see them mostly? And this helps me to get a feeling for things. Go ahead. I was going to say, but the most important thing here is education. And the use of proper assessment tools. We have over 15 assessment tools to assess whether there is true alienation going on or not alienation, and it's a hybrid case, or it's both parents, or it's the other parent. Reality is that it does not matter what you call it. The signs and symptoms are the same. Whether it's psychological abuse, coercive control, parental alienation, hostile aggressive parenting, it's all the same signs and symptoms. The coercive control of isolating a child from the other parent is abuse. End of story. And if it is abuse, then the alienation of a child from their parent is abuse, because we're considering isolation as coercive control as abuse. We have the ability to reduce this risk with proper training and education in psychological abuse of the coercive control using parental alienation, and the acceptance that no matter what we call it, it is real. Yes. You can't say that under coercive control, all the signs and symptoms that we equate to parental alienation only qualify to coercive control, and therefore only coercive control is allowed. If they're the same signs and symptoms, but we're using a different terminology, it doesn't make the other terminology not real.
Yes,
it makes just as real as it is under the other name with the same qualifiers.
So it's about keeping proper record of events and getting educated, just getting out there and getting all the information. Thank you so much. It's absolutely fantastic. I think we must do another couple of interviews, because there's just too much to talk about.
There is way too much.
But we're out of time. Thank you so much, Joan, for joining us, and I will catch up with you again so we can get some more information out there. And keep up the good work.
Yep. Thank you very much, and good luck with today.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, keep well.
Bye-bye.